Hope Channel, changing lives.
Good evening and welcome to another exciting episode of Real Talk here in the studios of Hope TV Ghana. My name is Evie, and please remember we are live on Facebook and YouTube as well, Hope TV Ghana. It's another Wednesday. We have another story on our table, a very interesting one that is real, one that almost every individual has gone through it. You know, being a young adult, going to the university, experiencing freedom, real freedom for the first time. There's no parents there to tell you what to do and what not to do. You're your own boss. I mean, you wake up the time you want to wake up, even though sometimes you have lectures and you know you're supposed to get there early. You end up doing things that you want to do. You know, moving from the boarding house and going to the university is a lot of freedom, because boarding house, you know, the headmistresses and headmasters are on your case, telling you what's it called, lights out, prep time, dining, all that. But in the university, you're almost living the adult life, where you're on your own, you're making your own friends, you're choosing where to go, who to talk to, even the courses that you want to do. And this is where you experience, for most adults, you experience having a real relationship with the opposite sex, talking about romantic relationship, where most of us experience our first heartbreaks, where most of us experience what is meant to be in love, you know, all that we think is a feeling and all that, trying to navigate all those dynamics with university life. Managing studies, managing friendship, managing romantic relationships, and managing yourself as an individual. And today we have a story for us. I remember when the story came to me and I read it, I shared it with a couple of people, and some of them said, oh, I should get over it. But then I do know that when you are in there, it feels like this is the end of the world. You know, when you've passed through something and you feel you are grown, when you hear other people's story, you say, oh, you get over it, everybody goes through it. And one particular person said, this is not the only heartbreak you face, you go through a lot more. But this lady is going through something that feels real, that is actually real, and she needs help getting over it, navigating it, and then coming out successful. And we have in the studio with us students who have probably lived it. I don't know if they'll share their stories with me. They've probably lived this story, or they know somebody who has, or definitely know somebody who knows somebody who has. And today we are going to have the conversation. And we have a young pastor too. I always like when Pastor Kenneth comes on, because he's very young. He understands what we are talking about. He's not going to sugarcoat and talk about how, oh, the Lord will see you through. He's going to be very real and let you know that as you are growing, you go through these things and you need the practical steps to get out of them. And so let me just introduce my guest to you. In the studio, I have students from Valley View University, and the gentleman to my immediate left is Onyame Chachu Bernard. Yeah. Good evening, how are you doing?
Good evening, I'm doing very fine.
How is school life?
Well, as usual.
As usual.
Is good. It's getting better.
It's getting better.
Yeah, day by day. We are striving. So
lectures and everything.
Everything is getting better. We are putting in our efforts to make things right.
Okay, sure. That's good to know. And I have a lady with a very interesting title, Her Excellency Bridget Aram Awude. Please, can you explain? Are you like a judge? Are you like a? I need to understand what is going on. Where from the title?
All right. I'm the current SRC Vice President
Oh,
for Valley View University.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
It's just nice to see a woman heading some of these positions.
So that's how come the title is there.
Oh, okay, that's great. How are you doing?
I'm well.
How is
What
school?
It's a bit stressful.
It is, huh?
Yes.
Yeah.
But,
Especially
people have gone
adding it
through.
to your role
Yeah,
as
yeah.
vice president.
It's not easy.
It's not easy.
Yeah, I had a midterm to write today, and it was really tough.
Oh my goodness. I'm praying the results are better.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Joining me all the way in Canada is Pastor Kenneth Appiah Kubi. It's so good to see you. I don't think I've said Happy New Year to you this year, even though I've spoken to you or I've texted you on WhatsApp. I probably haven't spoken to you. Happy New Year. How are you doing? How is everybody in Canada? Oh my goodness, I can't hear you. I don't know if you are muted or it's from my end.
I can hear you.
I can hear you now.
me well.
Great.
All right, good. Happy New Year. I am doing well. Everybody in Canada is doing well as far as I can check. Not too snowy at this time. We just entered spring. So everything is going well, and I'm very happy to be back. It's been a long time.
Yeah, it has. It's really good to have you in the studios again. Thank you so much for coming. So now go through our story. I'll just read the story to all of us, and then we'll start the conversation. It says, Dear Real Talk, I write today with a broken heart and a confused mind. I am a student in one of the prominent universities in Ghana, and studying has become a challenge because of this whole drama called my life. It all started the very first time I set eyes on him, the young man I will come to fall so hard for. It was during our week-long orientation as first-year students at the university. From then on, we became very close friends. We did everything together. We were seen everywhere together, and we shared some really good times together as well. I hope you understand what I mean. Suddenly, 2.5 years into our relationship, he began changing. I observed that his attitude towards me began to change. Things we did together were now not of interest to him again. I feel hurt, cheated, and downhearted. But because I promised myself that my first man would be my husband, I do not, I think I missed a part. Okay, so she says, things we did together were now not of interest to him again. I started asking questions, but he always made one excuse or another in defense of his cold treatments. Truth is, I came to the university a virgin, but as it stands now, I am not. I gave him all my heart, as he even promised me marriage, but now I see him with other ladies all over campus, and I cannot stand seeing that. My academic performance is affected badly because of this. I can't sleep, I can't learn, and I can't eat. So I decided to move on and forget about him. What hurts me most is his pretense of acting as if nothing has happened. He keeps telling friends I broke up with him and that he is ever ready to start over, yet refuses to tell them it was as a result of how he changed and his involvement with other ladies, which, mind you, he still keeps doing. I feel hurt, I feel cheated and downhearted. But because I promised myself that my first man would be my husband, I do not want to give up on him. I want to go back. I am losing my mind. I love him and I do not think I would ever find any man like him again. Please, this thing is eating me up and affecting every aspect of my life. Kindly help me. Sometimes I try my best to forget about him, but when I look at all the time wasted and all I have given up, I feel like sticking around till he returns to me as the young man I met that first year in school. Real talk, what should I do? I am young and I cannot tell anybody about this, not even my parents, or else they will kill me. Please help me. So this story is, should I go back to my boyfriend, the dilemma of a university student? And apparently you can see that she has no one to talk to. She can't talk to her parents because they will tell her, uko school ko sunya dia na say, uko school ko ye boyfriend, girlfriend, you know? And this is also something that we'll talk about, the transparency between parents and children. Being able to have the conversation, because somebody made a joke and said your parents say, hey, go to school, learn, read, and then suddenly they come and ask you where is your husband, and you're like, all these times, you never told me to look for a husband. You told me to go to school and learn and read. Where am I supposed to find a husband from? So, Bernard, I'll start with you and I'll ask, what is your general take on this story? What came to mind? Is this something you've experienced before? Is this something you know someone has experienced before? What is just your general thoughts on this?
Yes, thank you very much, and a very good evening to you and your viewers.
Thank you.
Yeah, situations of this nature where young people come into contact with each other, or so to speak, they are going out in a relationship and they've made so many commitments to each other. And now they've begun, in a way, trying to breach their own contract. I think it's very alarming in most of the universities. If you ask me, I would say I had my better share of the whole cake, so I understand it from that angle.
Right.
But I think it's one of the issues that should be discussed broadly, so then we make amends and then educate people on it.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely agree. Sorry, I am tempted to call you Aram because I have an Aram. Bridget, what is your general take on this story? You know, being a beautiful young woman like yourself in school, you know, and first year, freshest, Alba, everybody wants to grab a part of the girls that have come in there, and the girls too are looking at the fine men. And have you experienced this before? What is going on in your mind right now? And specifically, I would also want to ask you, what is your opinion on keeping romantic relationships as students? Are you of the opinion that I am going to school to go and study and come out and find a job? Or this is the place I may find my husband. This is the place I'll get to find people of same interest. So even though I came here to learn, it's a good playing ground for me to find out if I'm going to find the man that I'll call my own one day.
As you said earlier on, my take on relationships on campus is that most of the time you wouldn't know where your luck would be.
Right.
Our parents expect that, or basically the adults expect that you go to school and have paid fees, and so all you have to do is to study and focus, and then when you're done, get a job. But they forget that there's an afterlife after the university. So you need to at least make friends, socialize, and in the course of doing that, when the opposite sex get to meet and they begin a friendship, the probability of it ending up in a relationship is very high, because the spark might be there and all that. So it will actually depend on you, the individual. For this particular lady, my opinion is that she began too soon and too early.
Okay.
And so I think based on the beginning of everything, her situation is something that should actually be expected. It's not a surprise. Because when you get to an institution, you know no one. And so you are supposed to take it slow. But she felt that, probably she's an amateur, as he said, from SHS. So she feels like, I've gotten a guy, he's interested and all that, so let's take it from there. But if you want to go into a relationship on campus, it will depend on you. You need to actually set a few boundaries, know what you want. There are people who can blend relationship and studies. There are others who cannot. So you need to know yourself first before you decide to go into that. Generally, I would advise people to, or young ladies.
Before we get to your advice, let me take Pastor Kenneth's point.
Okay.
We'll come to the advice before we close. Pastor Kenneth, you've heard the story, and you've heard the girl's hearts break and her tears and her pain, and she feels as if this is the best man she can ever find. And so right now, it's either she stays with him or not. My question, obviously your general take on the story, but my question would have to be managing romantic relationships in school and studying. Do you think as a student you have any business with trying to have a romantic relationship? Or you think your job is to just go in there and study? And looking at the story, the average age to probably go into the university is 18, 19. And they've been doing this for 2.5 years. So probably she's about 21, almost 22. Is this a good age to be getting involved with a man, hopefully to marry, as she says? Or you think that she should just concentrate on her books and after school, maybe she can now decide whether she wants to find the man she wants to end up with.
Yeah, this is a very interesting story. Simply put, I would just say that it's a very sad story, but it's reality, is what people are facing in the world today, especially in university. So I would just say it's a very depressive story. Some people are going through and they can't really talk about it. And some people are just, probably committing suicide or going through many other things that it's their main response. So I really commend the person for bringing this to Real Talk so we can talk about it. Going into your question, I believe it is necessary that every individual will examine themselves when they are entering into a new space. There is nothing wrong building relationships or finding friends, but we always have to create boundaries, as my sister said. We have to understand our first priority going to that school. We went there to study, so that's our main focus. It is an environment where we will build friendship, long-time friendship, and short-time friendships. And so it was a rush. I cannot agree that building a romantic relationship in a very new environment, creating a romance around it is safe. It's not so safe. So I don't think that should have been taken, but people do that and it works for them. But examine yourself, knowing how mature you are and how you can handle these situations is very, very important. If we don't do that, then we're going to end up being hurt. But I have so many things I want to say about this story because there are some real-time experiences that people that I'm close to have experienced as well.
Yeah.
I can't wait for you to share those experiences, Kenneth. I'm very interested in that one, so please do not forget to share it with us. But Bernard, coming back to you, specifically with parents, where when I read the part where she says my parents would kill me, I was not surprised.
Okay.
I'll put myself in her shoes and I dare not go and tell my mother that, oh, a certain boy has done this to me and I can't study. What is wrong with you? Like it's unheard of. So in your opinion, being a young man in the university and your relationship with your parents, do you think that parents should be more understanding? Should there be some sort of transparency where a child can come to their mother or father and say, oh, this is what I'm going through and because of that it's difficult to study? Or the fear is such that they can't even talk and yet still they are going through the thing? Or you think that it's the parents' job to be stern and say, this is the direction you're going, follow and do well?
Yeah, I think that most parents have much more of the say more than we, the young ones, or us and their children. Right. But here, the parents, let me be specific. Here in Africa, our parents are different. Oh, yeah. I don't know for the outside world because I've not been there before. But here in Africa, our culture demands that every parent tame their children at the very peak they want their children to go. Right. And so once you are going overboard pertaining to how they want you to go, they have a different understanding of that nature. However, I still believe that parents should create a very enabling space for their wards. So then once they have challenges, once they are in this kind of mess, they can equally come. And also, once they create that opportunity here, I should say that some students or mostly some children take advantage of that. So just like she rightly said, she's lost her, excuse my choice of word, her virginity to a young man. How do you communicate this to your parents here in Africa? I don't know, but I think it's quite weird to tell your parents that I went to university as a virgin and then I'm back now and I'm no longer a virgin. It is quite weird. Every parent will get upset. But I think that once we give the opportunity and then we speak to our children, we educate them. Before you go to the university, you can educate your child. Okay, this is the space of the university. If you've not been there before, you can equally call on somebody. Oh, this is the space of university. Once you go to this place, these are some of the things you meet. Now you can engage, but know your boundaries. Right. Know what to do at the particular one particular time. Once you are involved in your studies, make sure that you do everything, you sacrifice for your studies. But in terms of relationship, you should know that there are boundaries to everything. Okay? So I believe that once they communicate and all that, once the child is going to school and is facing some of these things, they know that they had a talk at home. So she could equally just take her phone and then call the parents and like, oh, come on, I'm having this challenge. What do I do? Then they reason together.
Right.
But you don't create the enabling space.
You don't.
They wouldn't come.
They
Definitely
wouldn't
not me. I will never come. So definitely I think that our parents here should create a very large space so then they can be able to accommodate anything. I'm not saying some things.
Right.
Anything, because we are children, we will falter at any given time. But once they create that space for us, I think we can communicate our right to them.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so too. Bridget, I would ask same question. I mean, what is your opinion on transparency between parents and kids, especially with regards to romantic relationship? Do you think that it helps, or you think that in a way it sort of bridges that gap where you see your parents as your parents and not as a friend, and then and so because you act right? Because there are also other cases where they will say, I'm your parent, I'm not your friend, so do not expect me to be your friend. I've heard that several times. Do you think that is the right way for parents to allow kids to come to them and speak like this? And you being the SRC vice president at Valley View University, I don't know if I mentioned, these are students from Valley View University. Do you guys have anything like a counselor that you go to with these things? Is there an open door policy where you can walk in and go and say, oh, sir, I can't study, I can't read because I'm going through this problem? Is there something like that?
Yeah, I'll take it from your last question.
Okay.
There's actually a counseling unit in the school where you can go to at any point in time, and the one in charge contact is even available. You can call her and speak to her based on what you're feeling or what you're going through, and she can be of help. Back to the first question, in my opinion, I think that it's time parents get to know that no matter what we do, we can't do away with the fact that children will try to build relationships. Young adults will try to build relationships.
Right.
And so instead of hiding these issues from us, they should rather be open about it. So you have a democratic home where even though you are setting rules, the children's opinions count. So you get to the point where you tell them that, yes, you are going to school, you are supposed to study, but we can't forfeit the fact that you meet people you'd like, because you are human. But this is how to go about it. You direct them, and then you make it open in such a way that at any point in time, if you have any issues, I'm always available to you. Because I feel that if parents do not give room for these things, we the young adults tend to fall on our friends. And at the end of the day, they give us bad advice because they are not experienced that much either. But if the parents open up, the children are able to come to them, and then they are directed in what manner they should go. At the end of the day, if you even find out that you actually want the child to study because you've given the room and you're open enough for the child to come to you with problems, any other issues aside the studying, the child tends to rather go your way. They start doing things your way unknowingly, because you are directing them gradually without they knowing you're actually leading them to that path. So they take your advice, and before they know it, they are towing the right lane.
The right lane. Okay, I completely agree. Pastor Kenneth, I'll come to you. Obviously, I'll ask you about your opinion on parents creating an enabling space for their children to come and have the conversation with them with regards to challenges with romantic relationships, how they feel, how it's affecting studies. Are you of the opinion that parents in that regard can be as friends, or you think that a parent should be a parent and it's their job to parent, and it's their job to tell their children that you study, you pass, you come out, and then you can find a husband, or even that one crowd, they say national service, all that. But yes, that would be my question to you. And then I'll ask you to go ahead and share the few experiences that your friends have gone through.
Yeah, thank you very much. I believe certainly that parents need to be fully opened to listen to their children. I have come to understand that we have issue, as my brother mentioned, with African parents and Western parents. Both of them have its advantage, right? if you're an African parent, the way you train up your kids are highly beneficial, that we who were brought up in African home are thankful for what our parents did for us. Yeah. So being in the Western world here, we can see the difference and we say that, wow, thank you, mommy, and thank you, dad. Right. The only challenge that we are facing is the unsafe space that our parents don't have for us. We don't get to share our issues and our burdens with them because of the cultural boundaries, as we have already mentioned. And I believe that we need to start understanding that our parents need to learn. You see, our parents are older generations and we are newer generations. We understand more things than them. And so we need to understand that they need to learn. How can they learn? It needs to start from beginning. Sometimes we want to talk to our parents when we ourselves don't even perhaps open up to them. They ask us questions and the answer is, like all of that.
Yeah. That's the next thing will be a slap across your face.
Exactly.
No, right? Yeah. So it's very important that we open up when they want to speak to us. And I'm pleading with our parents that they will begin to learn. The fact that you pay their fees doesn't mean that you own their life. You help them, you teach them, you lead them. But remember that the children are a gift that God has given to us to train them and to teach them. So we should be safe and open our arms to talk to them, just like how, biblically, God would always want to talk to us. In respect to the experience that some of my friends have had, specifically one of them went through exactly the same situation, but theirs was worse. They got pregnant.
Oh.
And they went to tell their mom, and the mom was so furious that she picked something from the ground and hit her head and went into coma for over 30 days.
No way.
The mom was so depressed that she got to the point of killing herself too. So sometimes the parents don't see the danger that they themselves may also go through for not listening or hearing their children. One of them, the parent was so welcoming that she was very helpful. So two scenarios, one of them was very helpful, one was not helpful. The other one, she was so helpful to the point that she paid for counseling, she paid for a retreat money for the daughter, and she paid for almost every necessity that she needed so that she can have a free space to think, to recuperate and just build herself up so that she can actually be ready to study well for her education. Wow. So we have to create that safe space. And if we have that, we will be able to help our children. But, I'll also talk about the side where, we as young people, we want to have what marriage people have when we are not married yet. So I'll give it over to you and we'll talk about that.
Yes, we'll talk about that. We'll definitely talk about that. You're still watching Real Talk here on Hope TV. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we will look at the issue itself, where she says, should I go back to him, and speak on that, if she should, with the time she is wasted or spent on him, with the other sort of thing she's giving up, her virginity, her love, all that. We'll look into that and see if it makes sense for her to go back and keep her investment, or it's better for her to move on. We'll be right back. This is Real Talk. Do not go anywhere.
Hallelujah. The Seventh-day Adventist Church, Tikobo number 1 District, Southwest Ghana Conference. What's say? A music night. A night of music. Nearby Tronyomania Tun to myself. Yehowania Kedanyame. One Yemiano Dosom. Date no year 25th March 2023. Time 6 p.m. sharp. Venue Tikobo number 1 Central Church. Eshe theme I want out to them. Jumedi also come. Let's praise our Lord. Also bra. Niye Razayo. Jumedi Yatun suffering you Tofu Bebre. Amazing singers, Wolfrey Amazing Grace SDA Church, that Jane, our Axim District. Damaso, and Anyometofo, what Tikobo number 1 district. Ebi, only Tikobo number 1 Central Church Choir, singing band and quartet. Elena Central Church Youth Choir, singing band and Holy Family Quartet. Nuba Church Choir, and singing band and quartet. Mbataba Church Choir, singing band and quartet. Samaye Church Choir, singing band and quartet. Damaso na Tikobo number 2 Church Choir, singing band and quartet. Yatun say that for our soul that you make who hinara, our district in the Wombra. Now I'm back on a yin young kade. Now you're does so. Host pastor James Adoboza or your district pastor. The Masona guest pastors non your pastor Ebenezer Aka Ano on your Aguna East district pastor, Pastor Francis Kofi Ofori, Hafaslin district pastor, Mipocho Bra, and your life will never be the same.
Nia onyankopon hwehwa ne se onipa bia bedi yie e wasase so eno ti adwuma bia wo ye no wo hia ho nimdie ene nkyerɛkyerɛ papa mpanifo se sanwa beba kontomre enkwan ani a na eginemu nam so eno nti na Hope Channel edi dwumadi a ye friend se Business Forum abrewo yawada nwumre no nwotwe bia me kyerɛ 8 pm hia me na nakwa mesika me ne mpanimfo a wa ben no wadosukɔ e wo sikasemu adwadie mu ene enyuma mu be sinkonya ni amawo nkyerɛkyerɛ papa a ɛbɛboa na nso watimi atumpɔn piao.
Of Hope TV Ghana coming your way with Real Talk. My name is Evie, and tonight I have been having the discussion with Onyame Chachu Bernard from Valley View University, Her Excellency Bridget Aram Awude, the Vice President of SRC, right? Yes. Valley View University as well. And joining us virtually, we have Pastor Kenneth Appiah Kubi. And today we are discussing the story, should she go back to her boyfriend, the dilemma of a university student. And so far we've looked at how parents can play a role, and also opinion on keeping romantic relationships in school. You guys haven't shared personal experiences, but we've had experiences from Pastor, and we are still in a discussion. And Bernard, I'm coming to you asking. Yeah. So obviously she's done a lot with this guy. Almost 3 years. It's not a joke. Yeah. She's left with a year to graduate. Mm-hmm. Sure. So a better part of her time in school was spent in the relationship with the guy. Aside that, I'm sure she was cooking small, and he was coming to eat. Provisions here and there, your mother has been giving you rice and your small, and he comes to eat. So that's too, she will feel as if she's invested. Mm. And the thing that we can't put price on, her virginity, she's giving it to the guy. It's gone. And it's gone. You can't get it back. Yeah. And people say secondary virginity, but it's gone. And I feel as if and from how she's talking, you can see that she's a good girl. Yeah. And she went in with, my first boyfriend will be my husband, and she did all that. And I'm sure she felt, the way I feel about this guy will marry, the dreams of a naive girl. And she has daydreamed of her wedding, all that we do in school. And now, unfortunately, she's facing this. But because of all that she feels she's lost, she's thinking, well, he's saying he didn't break up with me. He's telling friends I did, and he wants me back. Maybe I should go back. I mean, if I stay with him and he marries me, he'll be the only man I've ever slept with. Yeah. So that will not make me feel so bad. Let me go back to him and see. Do you think, Bernard, she should go back to this guy, looking at all that she's lost or all the investment she's made? Or you think she should move on? Because the guy is playing very smart. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Me, I haven't left you. Mm-hmm. Me too, I'm talking with other girls. So he wants to eat his cake and still have it. So what do you think this girl should do? Well,
just like you said, I think this young lady, one of the advice I'll give to her is not to settle for less. Mm. She shouldn't try to settle for less. Okay. I think she is very purposefully beautiful, pertaining to what she has demonstrated to this young guy. And so from where I stand, I'm a gentleman. So from where I stand, I will tell her to keep her calm. You know, she rushed into the relationship, I should say.
Yeah.
A pastor said it earlier on. She did rush into the relationship. And so she wasn't expecting some of these things. You know, they made commitments.
Right.
And I think that even as you are making commitments in relationship, there are boundaries to that. You said to yourself, this will be the man I'm going to get married to. And so once you said that to yourself, you are locking yourself up. So I think that this is the time to speak herself into form.
Right.
She is purposeful, like I said earlier. So she should just try as much as possible to live her life to the fullest.
Okay.
Don't put anybody's pain or whatever into your heart. It will tarnish your own image and all that. So she should just focus for now. And then I think that she also should allow the young man to be for now.
Okay.
So then she focus on the things that will make her happy. And one of the things I also recommend to her is a counselor. If she has a counselor on campus, or I would not recommend a friend. I would not recommend a friend at all. But if she has anybody she trusts so well, any pastor, you can equally talk to the pastor and then you move on. I would never advise my sister or anyone to go back to such a relationship.
To go back.
Yeah.
Bernard, the man in the studio, says, no, don't go back to
Not
such
at
a guy.
all.
Bridget, you're a young woman yourself, and maybe it's the women that will feel the investment. It's the women that will feel, oh, goodness. Now, the next relationship, I've given what I didn't want to give to him, and now my next relationship, you know, she'll start thinking, and a lot of young women associate their self-worth with their virginity. And so when they lose it, they feel less of themselves. They think it's affected their self-esteem, you know. But what would you say? Do you think she should go back and try and build with this young man so that she'll keep all her things in one space, or you think that she should move on? And you never know, there are better things out there. As they say, plenty fishes in the sea. Do you think that that's what she should do?
I would say a big no.
Okay.
A very big, huge, massive no.
Okay.
I'm actually a feminist.
Okay.
And so I support females like all the way.
Hey.
Yes,
How possible?
I do. The issue is that it's not easy, it's not sweet to actually go into a relationship where you sacrifice a lot, because it's very demanding to actually be in school and then be in a relationship also, especially if you are not, you don't have a lot of experience.
Right.
So I feel, yes, she has lost a lot. She has. We won't dispute that fact. But it's better to lose now and gain later than to gain now and lose later.
Right.
I believe that for what she has lost might not be compared to what she will lose later if she goes back to this guy.
Okay.
This is a guy who has shown no commitment. If you've been in a relationship with someone since freshman year, and then you've been together for 2.5 years, and you're able to leave this lady and then go mingle with other ladies, wow, I don't think this is a man she should be thinking of getting married to.
As a husband.
Yes, because he will do more. He would actually do more.
Right.
He will do more when they get married later.
So then it's saying maybe he will change. But there's this saying, when somebody shows you who they are, believe them.
Yeah.
Pastor Kenneth, I'm coming to you and I'm asking, do you think this lady should go back to the man and build? You know, maybe he will change. You know, maybe she can get him to be the man that he was, as she says. And he promised marriage. This is, I won't find anybody like him, as she's saying. So maybe going back is the best decision for her, or you think she should move on, and they say you never know what you are going to get, and so maybe this lady is sitting now thinking, oh, I like him, and he says he hasn't broken up with me, so let me go back. I would ask you that, and then I'll ask you about young people playing married couples. You know, we get into relationships, like I said, maybe she was cooking for him, she probably was washing for him, and then they were doing all the other things. And some others also say, if if I get the milk, why should I buy the cow or something funny like that? Do you think that is what is going on here, and that's why the man has decided to be the kind of person he's chosen to be?
Yeah, this is, I still feel bad for the woman.
Yeah.
But the reality is the woman is hurt. She is depressed.
Yes.
And she needs the solution. One thing I have seen most young people do is they get hurt and they just want to move on without healing themselves first. And so I would advise, encourage this young woman to, number one, forgive herself that whatever has happened, she made a decision. The man made a decision. They got into a relationship. Things didn't go right. She had been hurt. Forgiving herself first. To be a bit more spiritual here, she have also sinned against God, and he has sinned against God. God is always loving and willing to forgive everybody who has gone wrong in their life or in their walk in this world. And so she needs to seek that forgiveness. That's part of the healing. And then the clinical part is, seeking a counselor, as it has been mentioned, or talking to a spiritual person or somebody who will be able to help them and motivate and empower them and encourage them that this is not the end. And I'm happy that this platform is being served as a healing process. Yeah. So if she's listening, I just want to encourage her not to give up, not to think about suicide or, letting things destroy her deeply, but to look forward for what is ahead of her. Going back to this guy is a risky situation. Number one, they are not married, so I can strongly say never go back. But since there is a potential, and I'm using the word potential because you never know the future and you never know now. And so she just need to examine and watch and see what this man is actually doing. Can he make some promises, and can she also make some promises in such a way that she would not be committed into the level of high intimacy? Because when you're building relationship before marriage, you build with friendship, and friends get hurt. But build the relationship in such a way that even if it doesn't go marriage way, then that, this is probably not meant to be. Because people get hurt, people go back, and it works. People get hurt, people go back, and it doesn't hurt. So it's a 50-50 situation, but I just want her to be very, very careful and be healed before she takes any step. Then she can think about what I need to do next.
That's true. That's true. I'm going to read some comments on Facebook, then we can continue. This one is from Oti Jeff, who says, "My dear sister, it's true, it's difficult, but try your possible best to forget everything about him and forgive yourself. Pray for God's forgiveness too. Try your possible best and delete all his pictures and items at your possession. Remember, it's not all relationships that can lead to marriage. If he comes back and you marry him, I tell you the marriage will never last. Be focused on your studies and try your possible best to become successful in life. In due time, God will bless you with the best. May God help you." Jeff, at this point, the number is in our head, so when you delete the scrap, you can still remember to call. So this one is from Joshua, who says, "Dear young lady, it's difficult. I know. Here are tips that can help you. Remove everything that reminds you of him. Rather, bump into him on campus, but not keeping his pictures or even phone number. I know it's in your mind. Focus on your studies or other distractions. Don't rush into any relationship for now. Confront your fears and move on. Should you get back, you might be a slave to his desires. Forgive yourself and promise God and yourself that the next relationship will not go too far in terms of sex. Remember, that's your treasure. Pray and God will help you heal. Don't go back to him. As guys, we fight for what we desire. Leave him and forgive him as well. You are destined for greatness, and that's what should keep you busy. All the best." Oh, that's so nice. Abina says, "Finish school and go to the job market, and you realize the world is bigger than we thought. Focus on building yourself, and in years to come, you will thank yourself for not quitting." Boache says, "Wake up, young woman. Your education is first." Alberta Asante says, "The best I can tell you is that let him be dead to you and focus on your books, because if you become a great person in life, great men will come looking for you. But when you become a lesser person, men like him will come looking for you. Hope you understand. As the saying goes, a word to the wise is enough. Okay, you can see that everybody's pushing the lady on to go and then just do better and everything will be fine. Right now, the solution to the problem suggested, I think we all agree that the priority here are her grades. The way she says she's struggling and her grades are falling. I think right now we need to come up with how she can get back her grades so that they'll be good again. You know, how can she push through with a heartbreak? And people think when people laugh, oh, broken hearts, but it can be literal. You literally feel as if your heart is breaking. It's I have a friend that says she went to sleep, and then before she even opened her eyes, she knew she had broken heart. Like, it's that terrible. You feel it in your sleep. It's a whole mental struggle. And some people are not able to pull themselves out. Yeah. Some people just keep sinking and sinking and sinking. And it's a ripple effect. Then they are not themselves, then it affects everything else. If you have a job, it affects your job, your performance. Some can get fired. If you're in school like this, your grades. Imagine somebody leaving you, have broken hearts, and you fail as well. No!
2 things at a time.
Challenge! It's too much. So now we have to come up with how she can get her grades back up. Bernard, what would be some of your suggestions? What do you think she should do to help her with her studies?
I think for now, the harm has already been done, and she wouldn't love to go to back to that experience again. And so she should just adjust herself for now. I wouldn't say she's not going through pain. Right. She's going through serious pain, and it will take time to heal. The healing process begins with her. Right. And so she had to speak to herself. She had to encourage herself and motivate herself. Then secondly, I think the most important thing why you are there is your studies. And so there is no marketplace for a relationship. No. It can kickstart at any given time, any place. And so just put yourself into, or adjust yourself into a situation whereby you can be able to learn and learn very well. Like I said, when you are alone, you feel very bored, you start thinking. But start moving out with friends, of course, good friends. I will not advise her to be outspoken to most of her friends about this issue. Okay. Yes, I from my own experience. Okay. Yes, because they will try to intrude and then be giving you suggestions. But just have fun. Know that what you are going through, people have already been through that. And so your education is much more important than any other thing. Right. So the first step I will tell her is to heal herself. Speak to yourself. Speak yourself into form. And don't forget that God is always open to everybody. Once you come, He will accept you. And so pray about what you are going through. It is a big challenge, but it is not a challenge. Once you pray about it and you are committed to what you want to do, as in making your grades, trust me, you'll go through it and then you'll be fine.
Okay, Bernard says, pay attention to your grades. I believe when you pay attention to your grades and you're doing well, you probably will come back wanting to be with the best student. That's when you have the power to say, you know what?
Yes, I used to.
I will move with, you know, I used to. Bridget, see your suggestions on how she can, you know, get out of this and then get her grades.
Onyame has actually said it all. I'd like to add a few. My opinion is that she should actually find something else doing. If she can join an association on campus, something to keep her busy aside the book. So something extracurricular that she could do. So any free time she gets, any little opportunity she gets, she feels, as at this time I can't study, she should go in there to keep herself busy, because the more you keep to yourself, the more you keep thinking about this guy, since you've spent so much time with him, it's difficult for you to forget. So she should get something else doing aside the studies, and she should try to actually focus, as Onyame said. It's not easy. It's not easy. She would rise and then calm down.
Yeah, but she'll have good days and bad days.
Yes, but she has to. It will take time. She should take it slow and consciously work. She should consciously put in the effort and know that this is what I want to achieve. I want to forget about this boy. So it should be a conscious effort working towards it. And she would probably find out that at the end of the day, the guy wasn't even really whom she wanted.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
She's much more better.
And guys are in such a way that the better you are, they like nice things.
Sure.
So when you start looking better, they tend to start looking at you again.
Yeah.
And that is where she would have the confidence to say that not anymore.
Right, not anymore. I completely agree with you when you say that when you start looking better. In all cases, let's not even front here. In all cases, when you break up and then you start taking care of yourself, your ex always comes back. Am I lying?
That is true. That is so true.
But that doesn't mean you
You're
should go back.
I don't think it's a bad idea.
You're pushing me to share an experience. But I'm not sure.
You should share. Bridget, this is real talk.
It's not a campus experience,
It doesn't
actually.
matter. It doesn't have to be a campus experience. What's happened?
Go free. I wouldn't say it anywhere.
You don't have to give so much details.
Yes, so it was this mini relationship, and it didn't last for long, but
Right.
I can actually put it in the situation of the lady,
Right.
because even though it didn't last for long, it was a bit intense. We didn't get sexual, but
Right.
it was a bit intense. We got so close to each other. So when it happened that the guy was trying to part ways without any reasons,
Right.
it wasn't easy. I lost so much weight, and I was wondering, like, this is a situation where we've not had anything sexual, but it seems I'm so deep into
That's always good. I mean, if she concentrates on herself and then I'm sure when the guys, I don't know, maybe he's truly moved on and that's fine. There's always something out there for you. And this should even let you know that he wasn't for you to begin with. Pastor Kenneth, I'm coming to you for suggested steps on how she can get her grades back up.
Yeah, thank you. I think many have been said, but a few things I would just add is, again, going back to the point I made, being healed is the first thing, because before you know, you would even have your last semester class with him, and you don't even know what to do. So being healed is very important. That's the first step. It may take some time, but immediately she also needs to study, right? And so occupying her mind with other things would be very much helpful, because, you know, the thoughts and memories will keep coming back, but always having something to occupy your mind, that this is your goal, this is your dream, this is where you want to get to, this is what you want to get done through the healing process. And by saying all these things, I'm confident that she'll be able to do that. I would also encourage her to be more sociable. She shouldn't isolate herself, because these incidents, it cause low self-esteem and low confidence in, you know, being around people. But when she gets to be around, like, you know, classmates, friends, study together, do things together, it would help her to feel loved and cared for by people around her as well. And one thing more I would just add is, I'm not sure if she is a Christian or a believer, but I am 100% confident that all these things can be healed and can be strengthened by God. Wisdom, strength, confidence is all given by God. And in as much as she is seeking for physical and clinical help, she also need not to forget that this is also not impossible for God. And that she should continue to try her best and keep studying, put in more effort and time, and some guy somewhere may approach her very soon. And if he does, the question I want her to ask herself is, would she make the same mistake again, or does she want to get done through school? And I guess speaking on that, I would just simply add to it that as young people, when we are at university, when we are going to school, it is very important that we know who we are and who we want to become. And when we get to learn that, we need to create the boundaries. So my advice, I will always encourage people to be in a serious relationship when they have one last more year to finish your university education. Because that way you get to learn more and you know you're almost done and you're moving on to the next step of the world where we are going to be working and seeking for a life partner.
Right.
When you have that mentality and you focus more on your education, you not only hurt yourself, but you also make your parents proud, you make God proud, and you feel that you have done something great for your life. We shouldn't rush because sex is 10% of relationship and 90% is about success.
Yeah.
And that comes both spiritually and physically. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pastor Kenneth. Thank you so much for that. I want to pick just a few comments before we go. Onyami Rosman says, yes, is that your sister?
Definitely.
Yes, transparency between parents and children should be well enhanced. I see you, Chachu, she says hi. Sethina Efo Arthur says, hello, Evie. It is good she has opened up. This issue is something so many young adults find themselves in and end up harming themselves. I would advise the lady not to go back to the guy. The guy has moved on, so she should forget about him, concentrate on her studies, and prepare herself to meet other suitors.
Yeah.
She should forget about everything that happened with the guy. It's not a waste of time. It's an experience she will learn from. Move on, sis. Talking about parents, please be friends with your children. Gideon Richards says, I'm really enjoying the talk. As for me, I can't go back. Never settle for less.
Yeah.
Okay, so I just want to quickly, in a sentence, your final words, then we can go.
Okay, I would say that it is not a bad thing to go into a relationship. In fact, the university is one of the best markets where you can find a very good suitor. But even at that, once you are going into a relationship, please and please be careful about the commitments you make. Don't make commitments. Don't go beyond the board or beyond board. And also, look at the timing. The time at which you are going to the relationship, is it okay for you? Don't go in because people are going into a relationship. Okay. Ask yourself, do you need relationship now? And if you do need it now, then what are the measures you put in place so then you wouldn't implicate yourself tomorrow? People go through this same situation, and once they are heartbroken, they intend to get into another relationship so then it will curb their heart, they will be okay again. But trust me, you'll come back to square zero. So please, don't make commitments. And my heart goes out for this young lady. Trust me, all is going to be fine. And in 30 seconds, say hi to, I think you're from a specific hall. Yes. So, yeah, maybe you can say hi to your Bedi Ako. Yeah. Anyway, this is the noise we make when a lady enters into a hall. So, Bedi Ako Hall, I greet you all. Dean, I greet you as well. And my special greetings go to Pastor Kwe, Ebenezer Kwe. Yeah. In fact, good evening to you. And I wish you well in all you do. Continue to impact into our lives. And we love you. Thank you so much, Bridget. Your final words, and then being vice president, I'm sure you have a message for your people.
I like to tell this young lady that I'm glad she went through what she went through, because I believe it's going to build her if only she would learn from it. Right. So she should pick her pieces together and start all over again. She should act as if she's beginning afresh and forget about the guy. All will be well. It's certainly going to be well. Yeah. Now your shout out. I like to say a very big hi to all female students of Valley View University. You are included. Yes. No. Just the females, my females. I'm all for you. Go get it. Then also to the SRC president. He says I should mention his name. So I will. His Excellency Mordecai Insiajubo. Hi to you. I hope you're enjoying your evening. To the Hall Dean of E.G. White Hall. Hey. Mrs. Pepper Mensa. Mrs. Pepper Mensa. To the student Hall Deans too. Thumbs up. You're all doing well. Right. Thank you so much. Pastor Kenneth, your final words. And I don't know if you also have anyone to say hi to back here in Ghana.
Sure. Thank you very much. My last words is we should always be ready to face temptation. Sometimes we act as if we are immortal to temptations. And young people, when we are in relationships, we tend to live together, cook together, wash together, sleep together, thinking it is normal. It's not normal. So I think we need to remember that there is something beautiful about relationship and marriage that we need not to forget about. We should be aware of temptation and we should flee from temptation. And when we do that, it helps us and it builds us together. And to the young lady, I just want to say, this is not the end. There is more ahead for her. So she shouldn't give up in this trial of her life. It's going to be great. And just a shout out to my mother. I miss her so much. She is in Ghana. I want to say a shout out to Dr. Isaac Darko and his family, and my junior high school teacher who is also listening, Mr. Osai. I just want to say greetings to all my family and my friends back home in Ghana. God bless.
Thank you so much, and thank you so much for coming. I think it's been a wonderful conversation, Bernard and Bridget, and Pastor Kenneth. Obviously, I think we've spoken to the truth of the matter, and if the young lady listened, I'm sure she will be helped. There's this thing that my mother always said. She said it's better to have a broken relationship than a broken marriage. So I think knowing this, you should hope that this has happened now, or you should be thankful that this has happened now, and moving forward you just learn from it and then make the best out of the situation. You know, next time you know you're not going to give things that when you give will hurt you so much anymore. And if a man wants to be with you and you are taking away something such as sex, he will still be with you. If it's a problem, you should know that that's not the man for you. And so thank you so much for listening. We'll be back same time next week with another interesting story. This is Real Talk. Please enjoy the rest of the content on Hope TV. My name is Evie, and I couldn't have done this without Bernard, Bridget, and Pastor Kenneth. Have yourselves a lovely evening, and see you same time next week.